interested in this work also because it is a very, a different way of creating a mechanism which is again common as a process. Just a second, yeah. And we were thinking about how these women are dealing with those experiences. A second. Yeah. So I think I already explained this almost in detail. So usually public spaces were used for discarding waste, specifically plastic waste. And in this process, waste becomes an unwanted common. And waste work in other cities are based out of, are assigned to particular specific castes, usually Dalits. Here, that whole set of people, caste, are missing. So our curiosities were, coming up because of we were keen to understand how does the state-funded collective of women experiences waste work. So we started interacting with these women who come to our homes to collect. So I stay in Kerala. So I started talking to these women, and I started realizing that this is unwanted and wanted. Both kind of mechanisms are happening, or tensions are generated when they do this work, when they touch this waste in front of other people, collect it and take it with them. So their status, because of the lower status of this kind of work, at the same time, these women also used to say that, okay, fine, this is a good thing that we are doing for the whole society. So those tensions were the things that attracted us to this kind of a work. Also, we were thinking about this both. So there was another stream that we were thinking of submitting this work to in egos. So there, that stream actually helped us in a way that it gave us two kinds of links. One is embodying this kind of work, any kind of work, embodiment of work, and also the commoning of some kinds of people, their skills, their bodies, etc. And while we got into this field work, we also realized that the spaces that are generated through this waste work, for example, the space that these people create while walking from home to home, and also the kind of facilities that I showed in the first slide, these kinds of buildings where they come together, sit, segregate for the whole day. These kinds of spaces started becoming a social space, social and material space, which they start improvising as they go ahead, interact with those space while creating that space. Please feel free to jump in wherever you feel like. So our methodology was critical interpretive ethnography. We started walking with some of the women in Kasaragod district of Kerala. We try to interact with the women who are collecting, and also with the families who are generating the waste and providing, giving it to these women. So they had to collect the waste and also some nominal fee for, dealing with this waste work, which was nominal from one sense, but a lot of families were there who could not afford to give that money every month to this kind of process. So they started hiding. In hiding, they used to burn waste. So there are now mechanisms emerging that, there are supervisory mechanisms, like neighbors can click photos and create videos and send it to local bodies. They will start punishing these people. They will fine these people, basically. So, and also, we started visiting these facilities, the kind of MCF facilities that I showed in the first slide. So there we used to sit with them and understand how they are working, what is their everyday work, what are their interactions, etc. So we generated data, and also we reflected based on our own experiences with waste and with them. And of course, yeah, we create field notes, memos, collective reflections. When I say collective reflections, a lot of it is amongst ourselves, the four researchers, and also with the people. We share our reflections with them, and they kind of question it, or agree with it, or add more details. All of these were happening. And we are planning to do further fieldwork as well going ahead. So this whole program is called Harita Karma Sena in Malayalam. Harita Karma Sena means, Harita means green, Karma means work, Sena means military or armed forces or whatever we can think of. So it's a state-funded women's collective called Kudumbashri, which is assigned with this work. So that is linked to Harita Karma Sena. There are neighborhood groups which are created as part of creating Kudumbashri. Kudumbashri is I think 3 decades old program now. It started in 1990s, I think. So that group was assigned with this work. Funding comes, a lot of funding comes from the government, and they also support or enhance some kind of microfinance kind of activities as well. The main aim is to generate employment and empowerment. And yeah, so the 2 kinds of major work that they were doing is the first one is collection of waste from homes, and then they were trained to segregate it to different categories. So these categories are based on what kind of buyers, including the people who recycle waste, will come and buy it from them. So recycling will include adding it to cement, for example. So cement manufacturers buy from them. And there will be road making people who will buy those kinds of people who make the material to make roads. They also buy from these people. So there will be some 1-week program to train these women to understand what are the categories they should use while segregating the aggregated waste. Then there was a series of facilities that were created in addition to generating or creating these skill sets in these women. So there were these buildings that they created where they can segregate waste. So this is the waste. In the image, you can see a lot of waste that is put into plastic bags. So this is from 4 or 5 months of monsoon that they have collected waste and dumped it there. They take it out and then they segregate. So in 4 or 5 months, so this building was new when we joined them. This building was very new, so they did not have a permanent facility till that point of time. So now they have a space to keep this waste and then slowly segregate. Otherwise, they used to. So there are various kinds of incomes that they can generate through selling. So the last grade of waste is given to people who actually make these women pay for taking the waste, because it is not segregated. It cannot be reused or recycled because it's not segregated. So that goes, they use other kinds of mechanisms to burn it in a controlled manner. So that creates a lot of loss for these women, because while this program is funded by the government, it is partial funding. They do get the building and the basic facilities, but for their monthly income, they have to generate the money by collecting money from the homes, the generators of the waste, or from selling this waste. So when they give it to some people who take it and make them pay for it, it's a huge loss for them. So that used to happen before having this facility where they can keep the waste for a while and then segregate. So this building was a big help for them when they started this work. So these are some of the conversations from their collection experience when we walked with them. So we walked with them for 4 or 5 days. So when we went from house to house, usually these people who are generating waste will question the whole program, because they don't have a lot of information about the program yet. Because that place where we walked with these women was a rural place where this program was just in the beginning stage. So they will say that, why should we give you the waste? You also burn it after taking this with you. You burn it in a different place where we don't see. That's it. So why can't we burn it in our own places And it is anyways in the smaller quantities. When you burn, it will be in huge quantities. So these people they did not know what happens to the waste, because that was not part of their training program. They were not told how it is recycled. So they did not have answers to a lot of questions actually, which were asked to them when they were collecting this waste. They were hesitant to even take the money or demand for the money. So our conversations with them also was about, we were also Googling and checking what happens to this waste. We were reading some reports which were there publicly, and we started telling them that, see, this is not how it works. This is recycled. This is not going to burn in a way that people will be affected. So slowly that kind of information will start entering their conversations with the generators, and that will help them as they go to next homes. But there was a clear lack of training in this second place called Kasaragod, where they were just starting with the work. But in Kozhikode, these women had been working for 6 years, and so they had a lot of information to share with the generators, and they will very confidently threaten the people that, see, we will report if you burn. Your neighbors will sometime, they will come and tell us. And they had videos of neighbors had recorded videos of some people. So, okay, there are chat windows. Sorry, I haven't read the. Okay, not army. Sorry, I'm reading the chat messages. Green karma is work. Green work army. Not book. Yeah. So, yeah, so I'm just going ahead. So, yeah, so segregation means understanding which categories have what kind of value. And slowly, so they were trained to understand these kinds of categories in the beginning, but slowly they also interacted with these market entities who come to them, negotiate. They had to do a lot of bargaining. These women were from very orthodox kind of families and rural families who were not very comfortable or confident to negotiate or bargain when they started this work. They were still struggling, but they were creating, they had some kind of confidence that was entering them. And whenever I ask them who does this bargaining, they will not give up one name. They will say that we do it collectively. That sense of collective was amazing to see when I talk to them each time on anything. So, but the issue was also that many times these people who come to collect, they will come with huge trucks. They will collect and they will say that, see, we will pay this amount now, but in the next visit, we will pay the next amount. There are not many people who visit these places. So there is no much competition for waste. So they are, I mean, in the negotiation process, the people who are buying the waste are slightly more powerful, and they become empowered also because these women are not very confident or empowered by the systems to negotiate. So these women end up giving the waste to them, and they said that there were instances where the payment never happened. They never came back, or they kept it in pending. Even if they came back, there were huge amounts of money which was not paid to them. And the language issues were there. They used to come from other states. In India, you might be knowing that each state has at least one language, and Kerala has Malayalam. The neighboring states has Tamil and Kannada. So people used to come from Tamil Nadu. They speak a different language, and they don't know the language. Women did not know that language in particular, and that itself created a lot of issues for these women. But they slowly are picking up those skills of negotiation, of understanding language, etc. So there were various kinds of levels of precarity that was generated through this kind of collectivization, claimed collectivization as well. Yeah, the skill was a common skill. It was common, but it was also an unwanted common, and the infrastructure itself was unwanted for many people. So, for example, when this building came up, the neighbors resisted that. They did not want this building to come up in that space in their neighborhood. And when it was forced into that neighborhood, they never talk to these women when they are there. They've been there for almost 1 year now, 7-8 months. Now it is 10 months, yeah. But they don't talk to them. So these women, they don't have a well or a bore well in that facility. So they don't have drinking water or water to even wash their hands. So they bring lunch, for example, lunch and tea and snacks from their home, because they stay there for the whole day. So they don't have anything to wash their hands after touching all these kinds of waste. And they don't have drinking water. So the neighbors refused and have been refusing to provide any kind of help with the water. There are many homes around this facility. So they walk to a quarry of where there is some water, a water source. They have to fill their bottles or whatever, carry that physically to the space. So the walk is around 20 minutes from this facility one day. So it takes a lot of time and physical effort for them to get water from that space, or they have to spend their money and get water from tanker. So basic facilities were not there, and there was a lot of resistance from the people around them. There was no respect. The social status of this work, these facilities, these skills were extremely low. But at the same time, I will come to that as we go ahead. These women were very proud as well that we are doing something that is useful for the society, even when others are, not respecting us or disrespecting us. But there were women who did not want to continue in this work. So, for example, the women who come to my home to collect waste, they said that, okay, fine, you are in this institute. There are a lot of positions for janitors in your institute. So if you can, please help me with getting a job in your institute as a janitor. That is better than this work. So janitor's work is also very low paid kind of work in India, but they preferred that over this. So in this kind, in addition to all of these, they were also sitting or occupying the most precarious positions in the supply chain of waste, if we can call it as a supply chain, because they were not empowered. They are yet to be empowered by the government by saying that, okay, fine, you go and put fine for these people, or tell them that we will put fine as governing bodies, we will put fine. So those things were not happening. So they were always scared at one side, on one hand, and they were also, they were directly exposed to the market without any training, without any exposure. So all these negotiations that they were doing, it was a good experience for them to learn. But at the same time, they were creating a very precarious position for themselves as well. From that space, they also started creating, because there is no systems to improvise their positionalities to a large extent. We could see that they started improvising on themselves. For example, they started reusing the waste. These kinds of, so the images on the left hand side are on, so the first image is some kinds of doormats that they have created using the waste that they have collected. Second one is a bag using the the cloth that somebody gave them or some people had thrown out. So the last one is also some kind of bag that they have made. So they were trying to create various ways of, or improvise this space by looking at waste as something that they can generate income. Of course, they are all, so the doormat will be sold for very meager amount. Similarly, even lesser amount for the bags. but still they were trying. So they had kept sewing machines in the facility so that they can make these kinds of bags in some time and some free time, or one person can do this work and others can do the other kind of work. So that kind of a collective space was being created. How many minutes do I have? I didn't keep.
Well, I was listening very intently, so I didn't keep count. Don't worry.
So I will take 2-3 minutes more. I have, I think, one more slide. That's it. So we could see that this space was also about coming together. So these women started thinking about the space as where they can learn new skills. For example, the left-hand side, you can see an image of, so these are trunks of trees kept in these piles or whatever it is. So these are used as drums or training drums, which is helpful in learning. There is a instrument called chenda. It is a kind of drum. So a group of people come together and beat this kind of drum. So these groups are invited when, for example, a small housewarming is there, or a new shop is opening in the city. Then these people are asked to come and play this drum for 5-10 minutes, and they will be paid. So these women were trying to learn that. And these days, for the past 3-4 years, so this used to be a very gendered kind of a instrument where only men used to play. So in past few years, women have learned it, and women groups are preferred over male groups because it's a new phenomenon. And again, it has its own gendered notions. But these women are trying to learn this and generate income, for example. And they learn it during their breaks in this space, because that is the space where they are coming together. So, and you can also see these bags kept here. The image is not very clear, but if you go closer, you can see that they have some plants kept there. They're trying to grow some plants in these waste bags. And to water these plants, they have to go to that quarry and bring water. They're ready to make that effort. I was asking, who does this? They said, and how much effort you have to get water for these kinds of activities. But they said, we do it together. No, but not one single person does it. We all do it together. We go together, we talk. While coming back also, we share the work. So that was also helping them in various ways in creating a support system for each other, for all of them. And so that's what we thought we should call as collective caring. So everybody cared for everyone else. So on one day, one of these women told me that you have to come with me to visit one of our colleagues. You haven't seen her, but her daughter is in a very bad condition, and we are trying to create some kind of fund to help her to. So this kid cannot walk. So they want to treat this girl, and this family doesn't have enough income to treat her disability. So these kinds of activities happen. So they go in groups, collect money, and share that money with this family. So these kinds of activities are also happening because they have a space, a shared social space, social and material space of this kind, this building, where they come together. So I think I should stop. Yeah, I will stop. And we have just finished the field work. We haven't theorized much, and any kind of